5, 4, 3, 2, 1, sync.
Sync.
Hey, what's up, everybody,
Hello.
and welcome back to Brainstorm, the show where we talk about our current BIONICLE G3 pitch, idea, concept, thingamajig, in which we will develop our own BIONICLE and then maybe not actually do anything with it because it's a copyright thing, and if we were to do anything with it, we'd likely get sued and have no money to actually afford anything ever again, and our channel would be destroyed.
I don't know, man. I think
Can
we
that be
can
the
make our own
tagline?
sets.
Can we fit that on like a promotional poster? Like,
What?
that's a great tagline. Let's fit that on a poster.
Let's do it. You gotta, we gotta, like, maybe if we, like, change the name so they were, like, copyright friendly, like, instead of Tahu, it's
Too hot.
Hatu. Hatu, the tool of hot. He's got his, like, fire powers, but it's not actually fire because he doesn't shoot fire because fire is copyright, so it's like, he shoots lava. No, he shoots broth from ramen, but it's, like, really hot still.
I love it.
Also, I noticed that the second we started recording, everybody started lagging out, so I don't know what's the deal with that, but on my end, it's difficult to understand you guys.
Oh, I'm just saying what over and over, so...
What?
I understand that you're just saying what over and over again, but for me it sounds like... What?
Wow.
What?
So, that's what it is. Everybody in the chat's posting their own copyright-free names now. Do you think that if we were to steal these ideas, if they could copyright, like, sue us?
I don't know.
Actually, before I ask that question, we should probably introduce ourselves. I'm Var.
I'm Meso.
And I'm Prpl.
And in case you didn't know, this is Brickonicle. I mean, Brainstorm. The same thing.
Can we do like Ninjago movie Brainstorm?
Oh,
Brainstorm a better movie?
Yes, I keep telling you that's what we could have done. You are the one that said we didn't need to do that. So I have to ask you now, before we continue, what do you want to do, Meso?
I want to do I don't want to do Brickonicle, but I want to not do Ninjago until a standalone video.
Let's make this the
standalone
standalone.
Brainstorm series.
Surprise is no longer Brainstorm.
Let's just
No,
let's fill our
it still
community
fits
quota.
Brainstorm because the whole idea of Brainstorm is pitching our own ideas, so we can.
Yeah, but I
talk about
can't
them
pitch ideas without reviewing the movie.
Well, yeah, those
mean,
go
One
hand in
has
hand.
I can't even talk. The Brainstorm comes after the review.
I mean...
I don't understand why it can't be the same video though.
Because I don't want it to be 3 people.
Okay, well then stop
I
mentioning
mean,
it.
I would sort of
It's a
prefer if it
joke.
was less people for the Ninjago coverage, because
I
there's
would
no
too.
way I'll be
you know
able
what's
to
gonna
really
happen,
talk.
okay, Prpl? You know, like the people who liked it or disliked it to the point of still enjoying it and wanting to fix it are gonna talk, and then John and Vin are gonna come in like brick feed, and they're gonna spend the whole hour repeating opinions that we've already heard, and it's gonna be a generally unpleasant experience because
But
they
no,
missed the first one.
If it's different people on
So
both
let's just
shows,
talk
then it
about
doesn't
Bob.
matter.
I don't think it will be though. If you check the schedule, there'll be some bleed over.
Yeah, we can
At least
change
with me.
that.
I'm fine though. We gotta fill our community quota.
All right, listen, everybody. This is the nonsense that I have to put up with here. Meso complaining about not doing something, and then when we're like, we could do that, he's like, I'm complaining about doing it now. This guy
It's
just
jokes.
is never happy.
It's jokes.
Ever.
But I'm happy with the Ninjago movie.
He's not happy with anything ever.
Why would
You
you
don't
be
Except
happy
except
with
when
that?
something's really bad, then I guess he's happy with it, like the Ninjago movie. Anyway, today we're here to talk about BIONICLE. The unfortunate scenario, though, is that John's currently away on his New York trip. If you want to know more about that, you can check out this week's TTV podcast episode in which he joins towards the end to talk about it. But he and Ben are currently in New York, away from recording schedule, and it's kind of screwing up our plans a little bit because he was also away in New York last week, so that's why we didn't do a Brainstorm episode last week. And then we found out he's going to be away this week as well. So I decided, okay, I mean, we could not do a Brainstorm episode this week too, but I would rather not skip 2 weeks in a row.
I didn't want to do a single Brainstorm episode until we had the story Bible released.
So
I guess I was the only one who shared that fee.
you are. So because yeah, so John's not here anymore. So what we're going to do is, because we can't really do any like actual brainstorming when it comes to the TV series plot and everything without John here, because he's going to be integral to that, and I really don't feel like reiterating everything again. We are instead just going to spend this episode on at a leisurely pace, just responding to some fan pitches and some feedback in the comments section, and generally do a more relaxed, less thought-intensive show today.
Yay!
I like it.
As the Brickonicle story Bible continues to be processed in the background. So yeah, everybody's cool with that idea. Awesome, that's good. That's good.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody in the audience was like, "Oh man, I can't wait for a non-John episode." And here we are, like, we're not gonna actually do anything this episode.
Well, I mean, we technically are. But...
We'll address some shenanigans that are going on.
All right. So I did have a couple of YouTube comments pulled up here from last week's episode, not last week's, last 2 weeks episode. So we can start that right off the bat.
YouTube comments are a never-ending well of positivity.
Awesome.
What is this,
obviously.
reply?
Well, to be fair, this is kind of like reply. To be fair, when I addressed some of the comments in reply, I was like, we'll probably address these on Brainstorm, so I skipped them.
Nifty.
So it actually all works together.
Yay.
Speaking of reply, you guys should check out that show.
Yeah, do it. Even
cool
my mom
show.
likes it.
Aww.
High praise.
Yeah. Oh, this is like totally off topic, but my mom was like watching it on speaker, and when you started talking to your cat, Var, my cat started responding to you. So I think you might be a cat whisperer.
That is phenomenal.
They respond to certain pitches of sound, I guess. I don't know. It just attracts them. It's like like a cat whistle. You know how they make dog whistles?
Yeah.
I am a physical, living cat whistle. The embodiment of everything. If I was there in the Ninjago movie, then everything would have been fine. Anyway, first comment we're going to be talking about today is this one. I don't actually know it's here. Let's see here. From Selimimfar. I know I mispronounced your name. Next time, get a better name. He says, I have 3 ideas based on what was said. Maybe the flashback episode can include something that tips them off on the location of the mask fragment. Like one of the cultists mentions that they are going on an expedition somewhere. They see a map with a circle, etc. Maybe the Toa could try to revive Akimu, thinking he would fix the Civil War. Maybe Riki is always trying to regain the Mask of Control, similar to Smeagol and the Ring of Power.
I like that first idea because it's like the question for me has always been how relevant will the flashbacks be. At the same time, though, it's going to depend on the actual stories we have to tell for the flashback episodes, because it could get pretty contrived if all the locations of the Mask of Time fragments are like these important places that the Toa have been to and had like traumatic histories.
Like that's the thing, right? It's like we don't want the locations to be like an obvious place, because that just makes the whole situation too easy. But at the same time, it makes it easy for the Toa, and it also makes it easier for us as writers, because we can be like, oh yeah, they're right over there. Now we have to actually think about where they're going to be and how they're going to find it.
I'm so out of the loop, I still don't know what we decided on for the fragments.
I believe we decided on random locations.
This is going to be so hard.
Yeah.
It's like, what if the mask gets teleported to like a random spot like underground, and kind of like in Minecraft when it has to like create chunks?
Good thing we have a Toa of Earth.
No. I mean,
they
like,
would be sent. They would be sent to a location in each region. So all 6 pieces are going to be split up into each region. So that limits it down a little bit.
I'm just thinking like before. I had been thinking like, for instance, Mask of Time in the region of Earth. It would be like at a shrine or whatever, or like some like period, some spot like in a wall or something. But now I just envision a scenario where it gets teleported underground into just a solid mass of dirt, and like it carves out like a 1x1 hole where the Mask of Time fragment just sits amidst all the dirt.
Essentially that's how I always imagined it.
How the heck are they ever gonna find that?
They use a metal detector and it just goes beep beep beep.
Based
beep,
off
beep,
of
beep.
Umatu's designs for the Mask of Time, that's what I always imagined it being. Is that they're just in like underground places, being just kind of there. My suggestion last episode was saying like how it's I like the mask. Each piece could have like a pulse of like time, like a time pulse that happens. I don't know if you remember this.
Temporal energy.
It can affect the surroundings.
Yeah, that affects the surroundings. So that makes it easier to find them once you're in the general location. You just have to search until you see like something weird going on. I was like saying like how it would be interesting to have like a Rahi that is like growing old and then young and then old and then young again as it's like coming at you, and it gets kind of creepy looking as it goes old and then back to. It kind of reminds me of a scene from Harry Potter. Shut up, cat. A scene from Harry Potter in book 5 where like that one Death Eater is in the Department of Mysteries, and he gets hit with like that like time thing, and his head turns into a baby's head.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Oh, that was weird.
Yeah, something like that is kind of what I was imagining.
Time can't affect organic matter.
Listen, we got to. We'll talk about that in a second. But John had an idea for the Mask of Time that I was never really for, and the more I think about it, I'm just like, so it's like okay.
Now that makes sense for Arahi. Would it also affect the environment?
Yeah.
Because, like, how do you do a time thing for, like, earth and, like, dirt? Unless you do, like, the vines or the grass or the jungle up top stops moving or whatever, or, like, moves really fast.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could do.
Yeah, I mean,
there could also just be, like, things frozen in time. Like, not everything has to be, like, changing in age and stuff.
Well, the whole island's frozen in time.
Oh, yeah.
If anything's moving, that's the anomaly.
Yeah, that's the anomaly. And that's what I was thinking, just like in the general location of the pieces that anomaly would happen. That's the whole point, is that it is an anomaly, and that's how they're able to find the pieces.
Okay.
But I think just in terms of how it affects the environment, it's just a general, like, you could see the environment just shifting very fast around you. So, like sand is, like, blowing away and withering away and then coming back and regrowing, and plants are reforming and then going away, and dying and then reforming again and then dying and then reforming, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'll get behind this.
Yeah. So, like, it almost creates a maze of sorts. Like, I'm imagining, like, okay, Tahu is in Mungai, and he finds the mask, his piece of the Mask of Time. He's trying to get it, but the ground around him is constantly shifting. Like, it's almost like a maze, suddenly he's walking across a moat of lava, and then suddenly there's, like, sharp rocks forming out of that lava. And then it crumbles away, and it's back to being lava again. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
I like it.
So, that's just how I'm imagining that this is how they're going to be able to find the pieces of time, because there is just weird stuff going on in the region.
Fair enough. So if that's the case, we probably could not do the flashback episodes having relevant. Let's see.
What do you mean?
What Solomon Farr suggested, how it includes something that tips them off on the location. That's probably a no-go.
Oh, yeah, no, I was never thinking about that. That seems very Ninjago episode 1 kind of thing. Where they have a literal map to each place, and I'm just like, why are you starting with the one place you know the ninja are going to, villains, when you could just go to the other end? You know where the locations are.
Well, their map was stolen, so they had to follow them, even though they had the map for a while and could have just memorized the locations or made a copy.
Yeah, it was dumb. Ninjago's dumb. I love it, but it's dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so maybe the Toa could try to revive Akimu, thinking he would fix the Civil War. I actually like that a lot. I feel it's the only organic way Akimu could ever be in the story. The Toa are like, maybe he can help us, and the twist is that he's a colossal disappointment in every single way. That doesn't really do anything, like we've already discussed. Like, he's not gonna save the day, but they could think he could save the day. He's like, not really. This has been going on long before your time, Toa.
What if Akimu is dead?
That would also be interesting.
What if they, the Toa go through this journey to try and revive Akimu in hopes that he would be able to save the place, and they get to the tomb, and it turns out Makuta had just arrived there after he had been revived and just slit his throat or something. Just killed him. Just took him out.
Man.
Interesting.
Some dark, evil stuff there.
I mean, I guess that would solve the problem of him having no relevance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did kind of figure he'd at least play into the story somewhat and be the one who gives the exposition backstory flashback dump to the Toa, though.
What if he's
to make
dying?
Sure they're aware of it.
Why would he do that?
Find him and he's dying.
Think of the history of the island. We were gonna do a flashback episode for Akimu and Makuta, but I never wanted that to be a self-contained flashback for the purpose of informing the rest of the world. I wanted it to be told to somebody.
Yeah, I just thought the elemental gods were the ones who were going to do that.
If they were going to do that, I'd think it'd be right at the start.
Yeah. I guess I didn't really think of Akimu ever showing up. So,
if
where did you imagine this happening?
Probably season 3.
Okay, so towards the end then, okay.
Towards the end. I mean, like, if I could not have Akimu do it, I would. But there are only two other ways it could go. It could be Makuta giving an evil monologue, which I don't want to do because that's cliche. Or the past Toa communing with the current Toa.
Well, it's cliche if it's an evil monologue. But he could give a monologue that's not the typical. The heroes are tied up and strapped into an evil death machine, and the clock is ticking till the world ends. And during this clock, Makuta is giving his speech while the Toa are secretly finding a way to escape. That's a stereotypical evil monologue, right? But our Makuta is not really evil per se either. He just has a set goal with a set morality clause that just doesn't align with the other people because he doesn't see them as living creatures. So I think there's a way for him to give the monologue without it being that stereotypical scene.
Okay.
And inform them, because he's not doing anything out of malice. Right. So yeah. I can totally see him having a conversation with the Toa and just like nonchalantly being like, and now I have to kill you.
Yeah, like instead of being like an evil guy or whatever, he's almost like a mentor temporarily, like the mentor type character who like helps.
He just doesn't place any value on their lives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I mean that can work. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
Akimu's only purpose in the story was ever going to be to like one of two things. It was going to be give this exposition dump, and also maybe make some new gear for the Toa. Using his mask of creation, like give them the upgrades, maybe some Nuva armor.
What if they make their upgrades out of his corpse?
Well, that's just dark.
Interesting,
actually. More than a plot device.
I mean, like there's some very Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen-ishness right there. Was anyone else bothered by the fact that Optimus Prime was literally wearing the corpse of Jetfire? Come on, that really bothered me.
I was bothered by so many things in that movie that was like a little bit down on the list.
Okay. Alright, and then his last idea was about Variki, right? It was, maybe Variki's always trying to regain the mask of control similar to Smeagol in the Ring of Power.
Fine in concept, but I don't know about logistically, like how would that work in the story?
Yeah. I don't want Variki to show up until season 2 at least, because for the very first season we need to focus on our normal 6 Toa.
Yeah, sure. We don't want to pull a Ninjago movie and only focus on the main one or whatever.
Well, Variki's not the main one, but
yeah.
I feel like right now we can introduce the concept of another Toa year 2, but for right now it's and as Wadden in the chat says, it would Variki, I guess, could be a background character in season 1, but I feel like that's just too confusing. Because we're trying to establish a mythos where the Toa are 6 chosen heroes, right? And then you just have a 7th one just kind of walking around in the background, and people are like, well, what is that? What's going on there?
The only opportunity to introduce Variki in, like, year 1 would have been for the Labyrinth of Control if she was the guardian of it. The moment we ditched that idea in favor of Trin Chrome, her place in the story also
great idea,
collapsed.
I love Trin Chrome.
Here only
John's good with names. I'll give him that. He's done a really good job of doing names so far. The Trin Chrome's great. High Affinity, another great name that he came up with.
Who is? Do you say?
John.
Oh yeah.
Pilikar posted something that we're going to talk about in a little bit, so just so you guys know.
Okay.
And okay, well, I think for that comment, that's pretty much good. We're going to talk about another comment here by Ben Gatz. He posted, if you include a caveat in the story that the Toa could free Matoran with each Vahi piece they got, that could become a set play feature. Fight the Rakshi and free the villager using the Mask of Time. That way you have in-set Matoran during season 1.
I have 2 issues with that. Number 1, do you mean free one Matoran? Like, is that what you're getting at? Or is he just saying free a whole village? Because, like, one Matoran per mask piece isn't exactly a worthwhile turnaround ratio.
It might be like a village in the show, quote unquote, but in the set it would just be like 1 or 2.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming he means like the whole village. You can just free
And
the whole
second,
village.
when you have the individual aspect like that, it does slightly devalue the importance of unity or collecting them all. Like, if the Toa can just unfreeze each village with one individual piece, then where is the tension in the story about reassembling the Mask of Time? It also throws our pre-established plot out the window.
Yeah.
Because, like, we'd essentially have to start from scratch.
I appreciate the idea of trying to incorporate it into the set, though. That's probably something we
Same.
need to start thinking about more. But
Yeah.
I think I think it's fun. The set could just be like fight the Rakshi, retrieve the piece of the Mask of Time or something, you know.
Totally.
So yeah, it's a good idea. It just doesn't quite fit with the current plan. This one is a long comment from Vesimox.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy.
Idea for the Makuta B plot. This could be partly used for the third year, final LEGO deadline. This is working off the stones idea presented in the episode. Makuta, in his efforts of getting the stones, he journeys into the elemental-themed labyrinths. In those labyrinths, he faces challenges specific to that labyrinth. In each labyrinth, there are elemental guardians. Once he completes the challenge, each pledge their allegiance to him by giving their stones and maybe combine with the Rakshi to become the Baraki.
The Rocky Hive!
The Baraki being the warlords banished by the elemental lords to become guardians of the very things that they wish to steal them at. What?
Leave a bit of comma there. They wish the guardians of the thing they wish to steal. The Mask of Control.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think you're right. Reason for them trying to steal the mask to the surface, reason to take control of all of Artaka and beyond, and the subconscious reason the mask itself influenced them to become the generals of Makuta when he reawakened.
You what?
So,
okay, first of all, what stones? Am I forgetting something? The stones idea presented in the episode. What stones?
I'm not sure.
Am I crazy?
Not sure.
Studio audience, help me out. We're gonna be talking about stones.
He might be thinking of the Nuba symbols that we
Maybe.
dropped.
Oh.
So he journeys into elemental themed labyrinths. And so the guardians are there guarding the labyrinths, but what is in them? I guess the stones.
The stones.
They're a
I think,
legion.
So
yeah.
okay, the warlords banished by the elemental lords to become the guardian of the very thing they wish to steal. I mean, I like that in concept. It's like some Ignika stuff, where like, oh, every person who tried to steal the Ignika was made its guardian. You know, like Vezon had it fused to him. Like that is a G1 element. I just don't understand where these not Baraki, because they have to combine with the Rakshi to become the Baraki, would fit in the story,
Yeah.
like in the lore.
The problem is this idea is too much of its own thing. It doesn't fit. It's got too
This
many.
feels like a plot that would have been put in like in between Makuta and Ikimu getting banished and now the current plot.
Yeah.
Except for the fact that there weren't any Toa during that time period. I guess we could change that, but
I don't know. I don't. The entire idea is just a bit too separate. There's like it's got its own 6 cast of characters, its own new locations, its own new like MacGuffins that Makuta is going after now, and it's just it's completely its own thing now. So
It's like a G3 fanfic.
I
Yeah,
might feel better about this if I remembered what the stones were. So I'm
I don't know
sorry,
what he's
Messy
referring to with the stones. I don't remember this either.
Box, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we're not getting your idea. Maybe we're just on a different wavelength. I don't know.
People are asking you for the story Bible, Meso, as though you're the one writing it.
I'll get right on that, dude. I'll post the incomplete version. You know, I'll just stuff up.
We probably could go ahead and just release the incomplete one that we have.
Yeah, it's mostly done.
Yeah, like the segments like for the history aren't quite there yet, but it is mostly done.
All right. Let's see. Was there anything else?
Nah, I think that idea is it's a little too out there for us.
It almost feels like filler that would happen like in between the 2 arcs if this was like a manga or an anime. You know, like the Toa banish, Ikimu and Makuta, and then midway through the Baraki come to try to steal the Master Control, but status quo is maintained.
It's just
for the
too
next
random. It's
canon
too
arc.
yeah. It just comes out of nowhere. All right. This comment from Joshua Deck says, what if nobody has found the mask of control because it doesn't want to be found, at least by anyone but Makuta? So there could be a thing where anyone who goes near the location where it's buried is unconsciously drawn away from it. Yeah, that's a great idea. I think... Did we not?
Kind of what I interpreted on.
Yeah, I was thinking did we not already come up with something like that?
It latched itself to Trinchrome, so it would have a less chance of being taken by people, I thought.
Yeah,
and it was just kind of prowling around waiting for for the sense that Makuta was back.
Yeah, and once it discovered that Makuta had returned or was coming back, that's when it was like, alright, now I have to go to him. Yeah. So, the mask of control latched itself onto Trinchrome. So yeah, that idea is good. That's essentially what we're going with. So, all right. Next comment, Leozander Magnus. Here we go. My point still stands. If the mask of time does not affect everything inside the temporal dimension, then it is not a mask of time. So,
I'm in agreement, except what's a temporal dimension?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what he means by that.
I just interpret it as like the timeline. The dimension, it means everything, essentially.
Making it selective towards, it can't affect organic matter. I think it was what he said, it can't affect living things. Was that what he was saying?
I don't even remember.
I don't remember. The problem is it's dumb. That's why I don't remember. I tuned it out.
Well, it's to try to, not open up time travel plot holes, but, when you do that, you open up more plot holes.
Yeah. He's trying to work around it. So, John, this is John's idea in terms of the Mask of Time and how it functions.
It's balancing, is what I think you said it was. The thing is, though, we don't plan on doing time travel at all, do we?
No, I don't think so. I think you guys want to stay away from that, right?
We have that power, If the villains don't need time travel to complete their goals, and we don't need time travel to fulfill some arbitrary plot status, then I don't see why we have to limit our mask to not do time travel. It won't benefit the villain's plan at all to use time travel. So it's not like he's ignoring resources available to him, It can be a component. We don't have to arbitrarily limit the mask.
Yeah, Mike, the thing that just doesn't make sense to me is saying that the Mask of Time can only affect non-organic matter, or can only affect organic matter. The distinction between those two doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense
behind it or anything.
Right, exactly. It doesn't make any sense at all. There is no logic behind it. It's a weird limitation that doesn't work. I think you can't use the mask to physically travel back in time to change things, but you can shape things around your reality, right? That kind of makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you could technically use it to de-age someone, perhaps. I don't know. But it would take a ridiculous amount of strength to do that or something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just the fact that it doesn't affect organic matter just kind of bothers me. It's just a very weird distinction.
Let's make it not a thing. Because it doesn't really work with anything at all.
Yeah, we'll have to think about it a bit more. I want John here so he can actually discuss that a bit more because it's his idea. But I don't know. The whole Mask of Time, that element of the Mask of Time never made sense to me. So we'll have to talk about that a bit more.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think this is the last YouTube comment. So this guy, Velocijactor. Took a second. He says, I have a question about your ideas for the show. Would it be animated similar to the classic LEGO shows like Ninjago, or would you give it its own unique animation style like Elves or Journey to One? I ask this because a lot of people are not fond of the classic LEGO animation style, and I'd love to hear what you guys think. I think a new, fresh animation style would be better because it could span out to a larger audience, as it wouldn't look like LEGO. Maybe a fitting animation style could be like old cartoons of the late 2000s, early 2010s, like Ben 10, Generator Rex, etc.
Yeah, I feel like I would want it to be animated like Transformers animated or something like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even mind like a Lego-esque show. It just, like you say, like Ninjago, but like it could only look like that in the sense that it looks like minifigures. I wouldn't want it to be animated like Ninjago, if that makes sense. And Ninjago is one of the better ways you can animate a minifigure, so I don't really know what else they could do. But like the look of Ninjago, how they talk, how they fight, I wouldn't really want to be Bionicle.
I think 2015 was heading in the right direction when they did their animations. The problem with those animations were that they were too short. And it wasn't an actual TV show. I
was so pumped for that to be on Cartoon Network, dude.
And it wasn't, yeah. So I think going to a 2D animated style is a perfectly fine idea. I'm not in favor of doing the minifigure Ninjago style at all, really.
Yeah, no, I don't think that would really work. Maybe for like scenery and stuff, but other than that, just
Nah, I don't think it should. I don't think we should go through CGI. Honestly, I think that's a step in the wrong direction. I think traditional 2D is the right direction. I think Elves is a great example of a show that's able to incorporate the Lego elements while also still being a good, fine 2D animated show. I really wish that was Bionicle, but it's not. But if that's the direction I would like to take it, personally speaking. I was just about to say something, and then Prpl, you completely made me lose my train of thought.
Animation style, Transformers animated, CGI.
I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was.
Alas.
Cut me off, and now I forgot.
I'm
so annoyed.
It'll come back to you.
All right. Well, yeah, Ben 10, Generator X, all those animation styles are good. I remember what I was saying. Okay. Yeah, and also because I don't want them to be represented by minifigures in the show, because then if we have our characters actually look like how we expect them to look like in the universe, we can then get away with doing our construction line as well, which is what we've been saying is going to be a part of this for the longest time and have never actually touched upon.
True.
The Toa would be represented in the TV show as their actual Toa forms, like how they would actually appear in that universe, and the construction toys, which would be a side thing, not the main focus, but like, let's say maybe only 6 toys for the entire year, maybe, right?
Yeah, like Chima.
Like Chima, exactly. Those Ultra Build figures would be based off of the in-show appearance.
But I want some Roxy figures.
Maybe that can be a different year.
Maybe.
Probably not.
No.
So yeah, I think a 2D style is good, represented by minifigures in-show. Probably not what we're going to go with. There's actually... I actually saved this. We were going to talk about this, but since these two are pretty much hand in hand here, we have a concept that Ragdoll actually posted on the boards recently.
Good old Ragdoll. Never change.
He drew Liwa Toa of Wind in his animated series style here. And it's a really cool concept, and it's essentially kind of going towards... I would personally tweak it a little bit before I'd say it's final, but...
Same. Some of the proportions are a little wonky.
Yeah, but...
Just getting there.
But for the most part, this style is really good. I think this is sort of what I would be looking towards in terms of what the show should look like. So yeah, just kind of a 2D animated, sort of cartoony, but not too cartoony style. I would say less exaggerated and stylized than the 2015 animations, for sure. Because that was really stylized. I think maybe a bit too much. And more towards in between. So that's where I would go there.
It's good to me. Mostly.
Yeah. All right, so that was the last YouTube comment.
Half an hour.
What time are we at? Nice, cool. We still got other stuff to talk about too, so that's good. All right. One thing I did briefly want to highlight here. I know not everybody here has had a chance to actually listen to it, so it's not something we're going to be able to talk about for an extended amount of time. But Dark Maestro has made some music for the Brickonicle project.
Oh, wow.
What a guy.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and link that to you guys, so you can, if you want to pull it up and listen to a little bit of it or not, it's fine. He's made a couple tracks here. The first one he did was The Island in Suspended Time, which is pretty cool. I actually really liked that one. Sort of got a nice, like, kind of slow burn of a music there. But it's really good. He also did a theme song. I believe he called it, I think it was Legends Reborn. Yes, okay.
Yeah, the Legends Reborn.
Legends Reborn, which is the main theme that he did. I really liked Legends Reborn. I do feel like it's not as grand as I would want it to be, personally, for my show. I mean, I'm thinking, like, I feel like, I don't know how you guys always envisioned the music for Brickonicle being, but I always kind of wanted it to be pretty, not necessarily tribal, but I think there should be a focus on drumming a lot, like very like heavy deep beats that are really fast paced and everything.
It has to have that hype mentality. You get enthused.
Yeah, I think a lot of people gravitate towards the original theme from the Bionicle movies, that thing.
I think it's the movies, but not. I don't know with the.
I feel like that theme is really nostalgic for a lot of people, but I don't actually think that tune is a good representation of Bionicle per se, or at least not something that I would say would represent Brickonicle.
Yeah,
it's a bit too, I don't know, slow and uplifting and just kind of like kids movie-ish.
Well, that Bionicle had a billion different musical tones, and that one was like only ever used in one form of media.
Yeah,
you're right. I don't think it fit the whole franchise.
I actually think the music before the movies that had a bit more of the kind of electronic sound to it was a bit more representative of G1 than the movie's soundtrack was.
Yeah.
And I think the movie soundtrack did have some really good tracks on it too that were representative, but I don't think that theme is the one that we should be gravitating towards in terms of the musical composition.
I'd go Minogue before I went like the movies.
Yeah, I would even go by maybe not Bionicle the game, but Bionicle Heroes had some good music in it.
Oh.
I don't remember. That's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
Yeah, it wasn't, the actual music wasn't memorable, but the direction the music was going in, I think, is closer to what I would want.
Okay.
So, but these are really cool stuff. And I can't wait to see him post more. I think a lot of people have been giving him suggestions on like different musical things that he could do. That would be a good idea. I haven't had a chance to go through these suggestions, so I don't know like what these guys are thinking. But I would definitely think something a bit more tribal, more drumming, more hype. I think Bionicle Heroes is a good thing to look at. A lot of people are actually posting Journey to One music, and I think that's also a good idea. Journey to One had some okay music that was not represented as well as it could have been in the actual show. So
I remember the intro. That's about it.
Intro is only okay. But yeah. So keep up the good work, Dark Maestro. I'm gonna actually make sure everybody listens to these tracks the next time we get on Brickonicle. I'm gonna force you guys to do it.
I listened to a few. I mentioned it last time.
I've been meaning to for a while, but
yeah, Prpl's meaning to do a lot of things for a while. Will they ever actually come to fruition? Who knows?
Yeah.
It's a mystery.
Let's see. Next thing I wanted to talk about. A lot of cool Matoran designs. We're not really interested in Matoran designs at this junction in terms of developing Brickonicle further. So keep up the good work there, but we're going to speed past that.
12 out of 10.
Dark Maestro also posted, I didn't see this until now. It goes to show you how much we've been focusing on Brickonicle, because this was posted 29 days ago, but
Whoa!
I haven't had a chance to read it, but I'm sure it's going to be really good, and I can't wait to read it, because I really liked his Golly story and his Lewa story. But he's posted a Tahu story, which he's titled Accelerant Part 1, The Breaking Point, and it is a two-part story, which is perfect, because our first 2 episodes are going to be 2 parts. So I am going to absolutely read through that, and we'll have our ideas for episode 1 ready for next week.
Well, that's just grand.
But I did want to highlight that, so if anybody's interested in reading Dark Maestro's story about Tahu, head over to the boards. Maybe put that in the description, a link to it.
I love it.
So people can check that out.
Nice.
Here is one that we can actually talk about. And this one is another pitch by Dark Maestro. Dark Maestro is really, he's really into G3 at the moment.
Inside the mask of time.
Okay. This is a really interesting pitch. So, basically, the whole idea is, like, obviously you can't see out of the Mask of Time because there's no eye holes, right? And he was imagining what it would actually look like to use the Mask of Time. What the Toa would see while they're using it. And that's the basis behind this pitch here. It is based off of his Accelerant story, which I haven't read, so I can't comment too much on that. but I can comment on the ideas going on here. So the green, why did I say green? The golden figure right there is meant to be Tahu wearing the Mask of Time. So like in this sort of ethereal realm almost, that's kind of how he appears. And immediately I like the idea of putting on the Mask of Time puts you in a different realm of sorts. It puts you in another like kind of dimension in your head. I think that's already a really cool idea. It's already starting to tie in to the more otherworldly elements that we're trying to introduce here. The more Lovecraftian stuff, the things that we just don't quite understand yet. I think that's really cool. Time is being represented by this line that he calls the timeline, obviously. And it's sort of like a thread that Tahu can like latch onto, move back and forth kind of thing. Let me see. If he pulls to the left quickly, it accelerates time. If he pulls to the right, it reverses time. And if he pulls towards oneself, it erases time.
Man.
Yeah. So essentially, this is a very powerful mask, which is really cool.
Insanity.
One thing that I liked about the idea here is that he's got these 3 crystals, which he calls the life forces of the great beings, that are kind of here. And I like the idea of these 3 crystals being kind of a red star-ish element. Something that's never quite explained, ever, you know, but it's like it's a thing that's there that we see and we know it's there, so that people can use it to theorize about things, because right now, in this point in the story, the audience is only going to know about 2 great beings. There's Makuta and there's Akimu. But when Tahu's using the Mask of Time, he sees these 3 crystals. And we don't know what they're meant to represent. We know as the writers that they're meant to represent the great beings, but the audience won't. But I really like the idea of these crystals sort of being there and just kind of like being these sort of weird, omnipresent things, these forces that Tahu can see. Maybe he looks at it and it makes him feel uncomfortable or something, but he doesn't know why. That kind of thing. And he just kind of, he does what he needs to do and he gets the heck out of there.
Yeah.
I like it.
Another thing is the thread. Obviously, it's changing colors the further back you go. This interesting thing here that he posted at the end is that the end of the thread turns red. And there's a thing in the upper left corner, and he ended it by having a quote that says, "It's funny. It's a funny thing about looking for answers, Tahu. Sometimes you are far better off not finding them."
Reviving BIONICLE!
And yeah, so that the end of the thread, who knows what that does, who knows what will happen. It's red, it's ominous, it's dark, and let's not touch it, is essentially what we're going with here. So I think that's a really, really cool idea, a really cool concept here.
Agreed completely.
That I like a lot.
Give us some flashy visuals for that section of the story.
Who knows? Who knows, Prpl?
Who can say?
I think the best thing to do about making G3 more unique in terms of appearance and elements are these other dimensional ideas. I think this stuff is really cool, personally. I don't know if everybody's going to think it's really cool. I think it's really cool, though.
Yeah.
I'm hyped for the one day we're gonna have like the Toa Nui fighting some like
exactly,
evil like entity.
Just these crazy
like,
other
like,
things, like just the Toa Nui, that awesome design there. This what's inside the Mask of Time kind of thing. Trinchrome being this crazy creature that no one understands. It's like this stuff is really cool to me. Things that we'll never really get full answers on, but they're just there, and the characters here have to just know it. There's more to the world than what they know. I think that's a really awesome concept. So
Yeah.
very, very, very cool pitch, and I can't wait to read the story that goes along with this. So, all right.
What else we got, if anything?
I think that is about all we had to touch upon in terms of pitches. There were a couple other ones that I haven't had the chance to fully read yet because they're very long, and people clearly haven't paid attention to our use a TLDR advice.
Yeah. I have a very short attention span. I can't read things for very long.
Wow, Prpl.
Someone did post like some dances of Artaka, which is neat, but not really too
I'm a Destiny fan. I'm all about dances. Know that.
crazy in terms of changing the course of the show. Sure, I'll link it just so you can look at it. But
The dances of Ataka. Oh, there's no images. Wah, wah, wah.
I think he literally says, like, if you guys wanted to see stick figures dancing, then I could have done that. But yeah,
No, I mean, listen. It's better than nothing. I'll still read these, though. Water dancing, flaming march, air walking, rock bending, iceal, Ikeal. I don't know. Trees. Okay. I can get behind that.
yeah. And ZC also posted an episode 1 storyboard based off the Tahu backstory. It's pretty short. There's not too much to go on at the moment, but he's working on it, which is cool.
I love
Oh,
storyboards.
I just realized it gets cut off, so you actually have to download the full image to see the whole thing.
Oh,
Oh, no, dude.
just like click on it.
Oh, well, when I click on it, it downloads.
It doesn't do that for me.
Wow. Lucky you, I guess. So yeah, this is really cool.
You can also just open link in new tab if you right click.
Hey, Prpl, can you not tell me how to do things? It makes me feel inadequate.
I'm only trying to help.
Your helping is only hurting.
I'm sorry.
So, we'll obviously touch upon this a little bit more once John's back and we can actually discuss episode 1 a bit further.
Yeah.
But this is a pretty cool thing to be working on. So yeah, if anybody's got any cool pitches for episode 1, then that's definitely something that we'll be looking into for next week for sure. So if you guys want to pitch anything there, read through Darkmeister's story and see if that's up to your liking. And if it's not, make your own pitch.
Woo.
I got a pitch. What if Artaka's a giant robot?
Dude, I like it. Where'd you come up with that idea?
Meta layer. What if the giant robot Artaka is the actual Artaka from G1, and all the characters in G3 are just small versus the characters in G1 were like giant
Versus
robots.
the characters in G1, which were already small as well. So
but now they're like titans.
now they're microscopic.
And the whole world takes place in Artaka's body.
Oh gosh.
Nice.
All right, I'm done.
It's good. It's good. All right, so that is basically going to wrap up Brickonicle for this week. I'm actually surprised we were able to pretty much fill up the entire episode. I like it,
So
guys.
I am too, to be honest.
That was really
Pretty
cool.
snazzy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you guys for joining us. We'll have we'll probably post the story Bible at some point soon, then, I guess, since we've all kind of come to the same conclusion that it's
Yeah, it's fine.
find the post now. So, we'll do that, and we will reconvene next week for some actual plot developments, since we weren't able to do that this week. And I hope you guys enjoyed. So we will see you guys next time. Be sure to head over to our Patreon at patreon.com/the channel if you want to listen to the show live as we are recording it, and help converse with us in the Discord chat. That'll be really nice and neato and cool and stuff. It's only $1 or more if you so decide. I feel like we don't focus on enough that it really is up to whoever is using it to determine how much they want to actually donate. So
Yeah.
value is all up to you guys. So you can do that if you want. There's other perks if you can go through that and look at that. And yeah, I am Var,
I'm Meso.
And I'm Prpl.
and this has been Brainstorm episode something. We will see you guys next time. Farewell, everybody.